Welcome to the Art of Quantum Healing, where we speak about trauma, mental health and healing. I am your host, Lisa Nadler, and I'm thrilled to have you come into my energetic field. In this podcast, I will be sharing my own personal experiences to guide, teach, and help pave the way. We'll also be welcoming so many other divine souls who have overcome trauma and found happiness, health, wealth, and next level abundance through mind, body, and soul connection. My mission is to help women high vibe and thrive with inner peace, passion, and purpose.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Art of Quantum Healing. Today we're going to talk about healing and happiness. The last few episodes have been pretty deep. We've gone to places all around trauma and mental health and addiction, and we've gone deep into some really, really heavy stuff. So this episode, I want to take it into a little bit of lightness, and I want you to see that the other side of the healing process. And the biggest thing with healing is that we really need to feel to heal. And a lot of people think with feeling comes the heartache and the turmoil and the messiness and the feelings of, as you're moving through things. But the one thing I really want to talk about today is that it doesn't have to be that way. You know, the biggest thing that I have learned throughout my journey, and I've been on my healing journey now for about 9 years. And one of the biggest things I have actually learned is that if you can take yourself into the observer role, if you can take yourself into a place of forgiving and understanding and knowing that you are actually a student on this earth. We're always a student, so we're always learning. And if we can understand that by this learning process and being the observer and allowing yourself to feel what you need to feel so it can transcend and transmute and move into beautiful light and happiness, love and joy, then we can actually allow ourselves to go where we need to go, because it doesn't have to be this big, messy, beating ourselves up and making ourselves feel like we're shit and why did we do that, and getting into the judging state and getting into the, oh, good God, you're a flippant idiot, and, getting all these things that we tell ourselves, and why do you keep doing the same thing? Hello, the Tim of insanity. We really allow ourselves to not judge, to go into a place of giving ourselves love, pure love, pure unconditional love for what we're doing. I mean, we all mess up. We all do things. I still do things, we always do throughout our journey that are not what we'd like to be doing. A couple of months ago, I found myself having a few too many drinks, and I started judging myself. No, Lisa, your 2 drinks is your limit. And I was having 4. And I didn't want to, and I realized that I didn't need to beat myself up. What I needed to do was take myself out. It's like I put myself above myself, and I look down at what's happening, and I become the observer. I become a person that understands, okay, so why those extra few drinks? What void are you filling? What are you not looking at? What are you not feeling? What are you not seeing? What are you not understanding? And when we can take ourselves to that space, we can really understand at a deeper level, and we can allow ourselves to heal a lot faster, because there's none of that sticky energy of beating ourselves up and hitting ourselves against a brick wall, just going, why are you doing this? We can really start to understand ourselves, and understanding is power. It is absolute power. I think a big thing for me growing up is that I used to live a lot. I grew up in an environment of deep victimhood and struggle. My mummy, God bless her, she was always struggling. She was always she would say things like, well, things always happen in 3s. And so I'd be sitting there waiting for the 3rd thing to happen, going, oh shit, I've just had 2. That means another one's coming. And I would talk myself into it. So it's when we can start to understand why we do what we do, and we can go, I don't know why I had those few drinks, because I was starting to feel really good, and my next level of wordiness was coming out. So I was getting to a stage where I was getting a little bit uncomfortable, because I was about to have more money, more, I was about to do a expand my business, and I was about to grow, and I was about to step out more and be seen, and it scared the shit out of me. But the old version of me would have just ignored it, and I would have beaten myself up, and I would have got into that yucky state of not allowing myself to understand what I'm doing. And as I said before, we have to feel to heal, and we have to give ourselves a bloody break. We're doing the best we can in this crazy human existence with what we've been given. Another big thing is that a lot of stuff the reasons why we do what we do is because we're actually programmed that way from a really early age, from our childhood. 0 to 9 is where we really mold into who we are. It's where our belief systems are formed. It's where our patterns, it's where the way of being, it's where we basically build. It's like a computer, you put all the stuff into a computer when you're young. You also all this stuff into a computer, and it actually allows the computer to become what it is. It's the same as when you're growing up. You have these things that is told to you, you have these events that happen, and it molds you to who you are. So depending on how you grow up is how your little inside computer is formed. And so when we can start to understand that a lot of belief systems, a lot of our emotional reactions, a lot of our nervous systems, a lot of the emotional attachment that actually happens is because of something that's happened when we're a child. And most of the time, it's not even our programming. It's not even how we want to be. It's not even what we want to be. Some of it is even ancestral stuff. Some of it is actually in our DNA. The reason why we do some things are actually DNA. They're generation after generation after generation of programming, especially when it comes to our worthiness and money. So when we can allow ourselves to go deep, just go deep, and we can allow the process of understanding to occur and to unravel and to unfold, then we can really understand the depths of who we are. And we can understand what we need to transmute. And when we do transmute, we create this beautiful emptiness within us that can be filled with love. It can be filled with joy. It can be filled with something that brings us happiness. It can be filled with something that really brings us to the greatest place of joy, pleasure, passion. And we can allow ourselves to, I talk about that glass ceiling of worthiness. That glass ceiling of worthiness lifts up, and then we can grow that little bit more. And lots of different ways that we can allow this process to happen. And really things that I have learnt and unraveled and understand. And as you're going down your journey, it's going to be different from mine. It's going to be, you're on your own path. And that's just the beautiful thing about it. When you can step onto your own path and you can move forward with what feels good for you within, then you're going to unravel your way of knowing, believing, trusting, understanding. And that's the key to the biggest growth that you will have. And things for me that really helped me is understanding my body, understanding the depth of what this vessel that my soul resides in needs, the love, the nurturing, the honoring. And I'm still unraveling. Like recently I discovered that dairy is not good for my body. Just starts reacting that little bit of a certain way. And you're like, oh, something's going on. I realized that I had a leaky gut, that I actually was going from gluten to celiac. In the past, I would ride that wave, pushing it as far as I could until my body just went, no, I've had enough. Because the biggest thing is with your body that no matter what you do to it, it'll take it, shake itself off, and it'll keep going for you. It will never, never stop. When I was doing a lot of drugs and alcohol, I abused my body, but my body always showed up for me. And that's what your body's here to do. So when you can allow yourself to listen to your body and acknowledge the needs within your body, oh my goodness, like you will thrive. And everything I'm touching on in this episode, I'm going to be going deeper on in other episodes. So I'm just going to touch on a little bit now, and then I'm going to be going expansive. So I'm really looking forward to teaching you the depths of each one of these. The next thing I really realized was connecting to my higher self through realizing and understanding it's your guidance system. When you can be in purity and sovereignty, when you can be anchored in, grounded, balanced, and you can actually allow your intuition, your gut, especially as women. I mean, how many times have you said, I should listen to my gut? Oh my goodness, why did I do that? Hello? Yes. That is your guidance system talking through you. That is your higher self telling you what it already knows. And let me just touch on this one thing, and I will go deeper into this another episode. You are either in higher self or you're in your ego. And when you're in higher self, you're in pleasure, play, happiness, joy. So when you're having that channeling through and when you're having those emotions, you know you're on point. You know where you need to be going. You know that you're absolutely doing whatever you need to be doing to be thriving. And then when you start going into that, what I call the 3D lower dimensions of anger, sadness, frustration, just all those ones that take you into that really dense feeling, it's when your ego is trying to interrupt what you're doing, which means that you're not going to be in your greatest joy. You're not going to be actually thriving where you need to be thriving through your beautiful guidance system. You know, it's got a higher self body. We need to listen more to what I feel like we've got this chamber around us. And this is where we have all the juiciness that happens. And when we look externally for the answers, we lose that connection with ourselves, whether it's our body, whether it's our higher self, whether it's our spirit team, whether it's our higher levels of consciousness, whether it's our soul family, Mother Nature, it doesn't matter. This vessel it's our purity, it's our oneness, it's the part of us that we always have with us. When we start looking externally is when we start to rock over, when we start to get out of balance, when we're not anchored in, when we're not grounded. And I must admit that it wasn't until the last couple of years that I even understood some of the depths of this. I mean, someone would say to me, spirit team, and I was like, oh, good God, that's that woo-woo shit again. Or the ancient, and you need to tap into your ancient ones. I'm like, well, my grandmother's passed away. I don't know what you're talking about. So, you know, some of the stuff I'm talking about here, you're going to listen back in 6 months' time and go, oh, that's what she was talking about. I get it. Okay, now. So just understand from the level that you are, because nobody is a higher level of understanding and nobody's a lower. We are all getting awakened on our journey at the right time for the information that we need. So sometimes you're told something right now, and sometimes you'll hear something on my podcast and you'll go, or my YouTube channel, and you'll go, I don't understand. You don't need to. It's perfect. Just take in the level that you need. And that is the guidance that you're getting, because your higher self will just go, no, she doesn't need that right now. Yep, she needs that. And then let's move forward. Being one with nature was a big thing for me in my healing journey. And I touched on this on episode 1 when I was talking about my journey. And this is really still unraveling for me. You know, Mother Nature and the plants. I mean, who would think I would talk to plants? Seriously. My mother used to say, you need to talk to plants, let them grow. And I'd be like, oh, you've lost the plot. But I get it. Like, I so get it. I really do. When I did my 2-week dieta, it was just, and my ayahuasca journey, it took me to a whole new level. And I'm going to expand on that on another podcast, but it really does allow you to see a bigger picture, and that we are part of a bigger picture. Like, each one of us is a tiny speck on this universe, tiny speck. But as we're learning and we're growing and we're expanding, what you heal from is what you teach others. So what you heal from is what you're here to heal from, what the journey that you're meant to go on. I'll say it again. What you're here to heal from is what you're here to teach others. And what you heal is where you help and expand and teach, and others see and they learn. And the biggest showing up of this, I can say, is your children. Like, as you are healing yourself, you are healing generations 9 before and 9 after. So I noticed that when I heal, my mum has transformations. Like, okay, so get this. Okay, my mother, as I said, I love her, and we laugh about this now, is victim one-on-one. Like, poor little bugger. She was programmed from a scarcity, poverty. We had no money. She was always struggling. When the recent thing hit, the key, I don't know how to say it, the COVID hit, I don't know how to say it, the CV. Okay, I'll start again. When what we're going through right now hit, I was in Bali, and you can imagine being in a foreign country. I didn't have a ticket for another 2 weeks, and they were closing. Airlines were stopping flights after flights after flights. And of course, I'm in this beautiful Bali bubble at one of my retreats. I'm hosting it. It's just magical. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't know what's going on in the outside world. I came out of that retreat, and I remember ringing my mum, and she's like, so have you left yet? I'm guessing you're home. And I'm like, no, I'm still in Bali. It brought tears to my eyes when I'm getting teary-eyed now. It brought tears to my eyes when she said, well, baby, I know that you are doing exactly what you need to do, and I know that you're safe, and I know you're going to be okay. That was when I knew that I had helped heal my mother. Because the older version of my mother would have been, oh my God, get to the airport, get on the plane, get out. SOS, oh my God. And she would just gone into the biggest state of victim struggle. Oh my God, worst case scenario. But I knew right at that moment that the work I'd done on myself had helped my mum, in a huge way. It was probably one of the most powerful times, was knowing that my mum had been healed by the work I'd done. And that's why this work is the greatest gift we can give to another person. It's the greatest gift we can give to ourselves. It's the greatest gift we can give to our kids, to their kids, to their kids, to their kids, to our parents. You know, we're healing in this generation, but we're healing in so many more that are about to happen that have been. And I know that it's also moving you from, it's actually altering your DNA, because what can happen is that we hold, and this is where the quantum physics and this is when science meets spirituality. And I'm not going to go too deep on this episode, but it's when we can start to readjust our DNA level so we don't hold so much internally inside of us. We get to shift and move ourselves in this journey that we're on right now in this lifetime. So when we come into our next lifetime, we're picking up where we left off. We're anchored into a different dimension, whether it be 4, whether it be 5, whether it be 6, whether it be 7, with goodness me, I'd love it to be 9. We can start to heal through past lives. And this is when I started understanding healing at a depth that blew my mind, was when I started getting into the quantum side of it. And I do believe that there's only a certain amount of healing that you can do, and there's a certain amount of transcending and rewiring of your mind and moving yourself into being the best version of you, when you can start to move into the more shamanic, the more quantum, the more sound healing. When I came out of the deepest healing, which I talked about, sexual healing, I was told I was the priestess of light. And I don't get off on that light and love shit. I'm like, I don't want light. I don't want to be light. What do you mean light? That's just, people just talk about that. It's fluffy stuff. Light actually means truth. So now when I talk about it, the priestess of truth, and I speak my truth. And this is the biggest reason I have come to be in this space with you now, is because I want to be unfiltered. I want to be speaking my truth, and I want to be showing you the different way without being muted. And I've been muted all my freaking life, and probably so have you. So when we can step up into this level and we can see that there's a whole different side of us, and each one of us holds gifts. Each one of us can talk light language. Each one of us can bring back the deeper levels that I do. Like I do soul retrievals, and this is the stuff I usually do with my private clients, but I'm going to start to really share it more to the world, because I believe with every fiber of my being that when we can step into this step into this quantum realm of healing, we can just grow to heights that we never thought we could, and we're only just touching the ceiling. Seriously. I do soul retrievals. I bring in my spirits and ancient ones. I channel archangels. I do the light language. I do the deeper healings. I do the chakra alignments. I do the juicy quantum healings. And this is stuff that if somebody said to me even a year ago, I would have been looking at them sideways going, okay, this is just wow. But I want to share with you that when I sit on this side of knowing, trusting, and believing, and I have seen the transformations with my own eyes, this work is so beautiful. And this is the deepest work you can do. And it's also fun. It's actually fun. People think that healing, and we go through the uncomfortable, we go through the messy, we go through in the fetal position rocking. But on the other side of it, especially when you work into the quantum, it's not, we transmute faster than we've ever done before. We remove the emotional attachment that's in our body to events that have happened by activating beautiful light language and allowing ourselves to remove that part of us that we don't actually need to hold on to anymore. So we don't have that emotional charge. And you watched me in my first episode when I was talking about my sexual abuse, I was talking about the abandonment, I was talking about all these really deep things that impacted my life. But because I have gone down this quantum healing path for myself, I don't have the emotional attachment. I get emotional when I talk about the beautiful healing for my mum, it's so different. You get very sensitive, don't get me wrong, but I don't go into the victim side of it. I don't go into the struggle. I go into the side where I become the observer, and I look at it and I send myself love and understanding, and I allow myself to process what needs to be processed. And when you get into that space, things shift fast instead of holding on to the deepness. Things I can say to you is, you are never given more than you can handle. You are never given more than you can handle. If you can sit with the hope, belief, and the trust that you're always taken care of, and even if something comes up that just makes you feel yucky, or like for me, I got into the scary stage of realizing that I was having 3 more drinks than what I normally did. And oh my goodness, that was scary, because what if I had that one extra and activated that addiction back into myself? Instead, I could get into the space of going, I trust and believe that what's happening right now is for my higher purpose. What do I need to look at right now? When you can ask those questions to yourself, it opens up this beautiful curiosity stage. It opens up this beautiful understanding stage. It opens up this beautiful open stage within you. And you can actually look at things from your higher self perspective, from that different angle. And you can go into that understanding, that nurturing, that loving. It's almost like you really go from your masculine energy into your feminine energy. And you can look at the nurturing, and you can just take that breath and understand exactly what's going on within you with no judgment, because that's the hardest thing. Oh my God, with no judgment. And remember, just on a side note, if you're judging yourself, or if you're judging somebody else, then you're judging yourself, or there's a mirror there that you need to look at. Always remember that. So, I've been through some of the darkest days, and I've made it through. And I guarantee I'm going to have some more darker days in this journey, because I need to look at things so I can heal, so I can become the best version of me. What version of you do you want to become? I've been through some dark days, some suicide, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, abandonment. And I sit here now and I know that everything I went through was for my higher purpose. It was for my highest good. Even though you think, oh my God, being sexually abused, seriously? Yes, because I needed to heal it. It has actually been happening throughout my mum was in sexual abuse. My mum was sexually abused by 2 different men. I was replaying the same patterns. My life is, when Mum and I, we laugh at it now, is a mirror image. We even had Achilles. I snapped my Achilles the same time as her. Like and Yes, it was 1 year before she did it. I had a hysterectomy. She had a hysterectomy. I had sexual abuse. My mum had sexual abuse. My grandmother had sexual abuse. I was then in a toxic relationship with a alcoholic, and I got beaten. My grandmother, I come from a line of my papa, God bless his soul, the beautifulest man on this earth, but he had a mental illness. He was abusive. He drank. He beat my family up, my mum's family up. So you can see that when I can go, okay, this is actually what I need to heal, not just for me, but for my children, for my children's children, and further and further and further, and also for the people around you, because the people close to you start healing as well. So just know that we are here to actually stop the generational cycles. We're here to make a difference. We're here to be on our own path, to follow our own journey. We're here to understand and grow. Every day, I love the saying, every day is a school day. Every day is a school day. So let's learn, let's understand, let's nurture, let's love ourselves. This journey is not a race. It's not a race to get to a destination. It's allow yourself to sit in that moment and experience what you need to experience. So remember that the other thing is that when you start expanding and growing and understanding and allowing when I said about the healing journey to take place, and you're transmuting what you don't need to hold on to, so you can move into that beautiful state of happiness, joy, and love and laughter, you get to play in different dimensions, and different dimensions are exciting. You get to astro travel. You get to allow the healing to occur. You get to fill what you're releasing with just something that brings you joy, laughter, and love. And that is the greatest gift you can give yourself. I believe healing is not scary. What is scary is thinking of tomorrow you're going to be in the same place that you are, that you're not going to get to experience what you actually are here to experience. And sometimes following the normal is not necessarily the way to go. So I really encourage you to open yourself up to new ways of being, because the term of insanity is doing the same thing every day and expecting a different result. And my God, I did that for years. Now I wake up and I say, what does my soul need today? Not, oh my God, what the hell am I doing today? What do I have to get done? It's just, this is your path to travel. And when you can actually understand that being alone and going down the way that walking your own path is actually going to open you up to being nurtured and loved at the expansive version that only we can begin to imagine. When you can fully commit to yourself, the right people show up, the right things come into your world. The wealth, the happiness, the abundance is just a side effect of you doing the internal work on yourself. So for me, I can really encourage you to go on your journey, to uncover the power, the passion, and the courage that lies within you, because you have no idea how powerful you are. You have no idea what the levels of passion that we can actually get to. And I still haven't reached them, so I'm excited. I can't on this journey. I really do. My healing journey gives me the greatest love, the greatest happiness. And when I allow myself to detach from the outer world and to go inward and understand what I need and release the noise and the confusion from that external crazy world that we're just programmed to levels that we're only just beginning to realize, then you will unlock a part of you that is just going to be there with you always through this whole journey. And it is a strong, powerful part of you. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. I have loved being here. I cannot wait to go deeper on everything I've spoken about. And remember, your past does not define your future. You do.
Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Make sure to check out all the show notes of today's episode on my website by clicking on the link in the description. Also, make sure to join my newsletter to receive a free guided meditation to help you feel grounded throughout your day. Finally, make sure to subscribe to my channel and help us grow the community by sharing it with your friends. I am your host, Lisa Nadler, and this is the Art of Quantum Healing.